Try that again. Happy Friday, friends. Gotta unmute myself. And welcome to a little Friday edition of Flames Nation Live. It's Steinberg coming at you from the home studio. And here we are. It's a Friday edition, and the season is. The regular season's not officially underway, but it sure does feel like the season is underway. This Friday, it is the Young Stars Classic starting off in Penticton. Flames and Vancouver Canucks Friday night at 8:30. Training camp is less than a week away, friends. We got lots to talk about. Dallas in first. We've also got Sasha, Kevin, J-Dub, Matt, and Sean all with us. Questions, comments, get them in right now on the live chat. Would love to get your interaction because today, this Friday show, going to be mostly interactive as we get to it here on Flames Nation Live. And of course, Flames Nation Live brought to you by our friends at DoorDash, where, as always, you can still use that promo code FNLiveDD. Go download the app, create an account, use that promo code FNLiveDD, and when you do that, you're going to get immediately 25% off your first order and free delivery. One more time, FNLiveDD. Flames Nation Live, as always, brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. So here's the deal. It starts with the Flames and Vancouver Canucks and the Young Stars Classic. Flames play with their prospects at the Young Stars Classic Friday, Saturday, and then Monday afternoon before everybody comes back to Calgary. And then once they're back in Calgary, Wednesday, fitness testing, and then Thursday, first on ice session. So, we are right up on it as we are that close to the start of training camp. Questions about the Young Stars Classic? Absolutely. We can get those. What you thought about the roster, and obviously getting set for training camp. I'll read a few questions off the start. I got something I want to play for you from Rasmus Anderson when he joined us on Flames Talk on Sportsnet 960 The Fan earlier this week. But J-Dub, first of all, asking where you can watch the game on this Friday night. All the games will be streamed on CalgaryFlames.com and their different platforms. So CalgaryFlames.com is where you can watch all the Young Stars games. And if you want to watch any of the other Young Stars games that don't involve the Flames, you can watch them on all the different teams' websites. So Jets website, Canucks website, Oilers website, and of course the Flames website is where you can watch the Young Stars Classic. Again, Calgary plays Friday, Saturday night, and then Monday afternoon. Kevin says, thoughts on Milano, and is he someone Tree would target? And who's mostly to get, and then Dallas asks, who's most likely to get brought in if Milano is out of the question? Well, first of all, do I think it's crazy to think that they would go after Milano? No. I don't know why it's taking so long. I don't know if he's overplayed the market or overplayed his hand a little bit at this point. Do I think that he's a guy they could target? Yes, sure, because I do think that we're talking about a team that's a little bit thin when it comes to their wing position. However, I don't think that I look at Milano in the same way that I looked at some of the other now off the board unrestricted free agents, just because he's a left shot as opposed to a right shot. I do think a right shot wing option would have been a little bit of a better option for the Flames, and one that they probably would have been more suited to target as opposed to a left shot winger, because they got a lot of those. In terms of that being said, he's an interesting player. The only thing that I don't like as much about Milano when it comes to his potential as opposed to, a guy like Rodriguez or some of the other names. Like Evan Rodriguez signs in Colorado, and I thought he would have been a great fit with the Flames because he can play anywhere in your lineup. If you need him to play an elevated role, if you need him to play in the top six, he can do that. However, if you want him to play in your bottom six, if you want him to play a third or a fourth line role, he is a very effective player there. Whereas Milano, I don't think you're going to get a ton of effectiveness from him playing in the bottom six. Whereas you know that he can get the job done and be somewhat productive in the top six. I just don't know if him as a bottom six option is the way to go. So I don't love it as much as I love the Rodriguez fit. That's not to say I don't like it. I just don't like it as much. Now, who's most likely to get brought in, as Dallas asks? I don't know if there is. I mean, they've brought in Eakin on the PTO. I don't know. I don't know if there is like a 100% really good free agent option out there in terms of who they could bring in if they wanted to go down the road of a trade at some point. I think that is a viable option for them. As J-Dub says, they've got too many defensemen in his eyes. He asks, will they bury Valimaki and get that extra $1.5 million in cap space? They won't get an extra $1.5 million. They'll get part of that. Only a portion of that you can bury in the American Hockey League. Now, it's most of it, but only a portion of that you can bury in the American Hockey League. But that could very well be the case because they do. Mackey, Valimaki, Milosh, those three guys are in tough to be on the roster to start the year, and that's before we even talk about a Michael Stone contract, and a lot of us believe that Michael Stone is going to get a contract here, and is I don't know if that's a guarantee. I think they brought Stone in for some flexibility, and I think they brought him in to, be a guy that they could end up using if they wanted to, but they don't necessarily have to if there is a defenseman like Yuso or like Mackey or somebody like that who jumps off the page. Eugene says, am I the only one optimistic about Dubé stepping up on the scoreboard this year? I liked him down the stretch last year and flashes before that. Eugene, I'm quite optimistic about what Dubé could be this year. I'm quite interested to see whether or not he can be a guy that steps up and give them a little bit more offense. The guys that I'm interested in terms of potential top six roles this year that might be open, Dubé's one of them. I think without question, Toffoli is one of them. Those are the two that jump off the page to me more than anything else. And I guess to a lesser extent, because I do think you need to temper expectations, and I don't even think it's a guarantee that he's going to be on the team to start the year. But I am interested in a guy like Jacob Pelche, and I am interested to see Jacob at this Young Stars Classic this weekend. See if he can use the Young Stars Classic as a vault to what comes next in training camp. And if he can use 2 or 3 games at the Young Stars Classic to vault himself into even a better spot in training camp, those would be the 3 guys that I'm interested in. And yes, Eugene, absolutely. I think that Dylan Dubé is one of them. Okay, I want to play this for you because as we get set for the start of training camp, look, there's a lot of excitement around the team, and there's a lot of excitement about the offseason. And on Wednesday, during the Flames golf tournament, after the golf tournament, actually, Flames Talk was down at the Hot Stove Lounge at the Scotiabank Saddledome. I really encourage you to go listen to some of the interviews we had. Elias Lindholm stopped by. Michael Backlund stopped by for a great chat. Noah Hannafin as well. And listen to Rasmus Anderson when he joined us on Flames Talk and just talked a little bit about how insane this offseason was and being a player on the Flames as part of such a crazy offseason.
Busy summer back here too.
Yep.
Were you also asleep when the Huberdeau trade happened and the Uyghur trade?
Yeah, I woke up. And I just checked my phone and I saw kind of Twitter blow up and then I saw the trade and my first thought was it was a really good trade and. It looks that way, and it's been in I think a roller coaster of a summer for Flames fans, and but I really do believe that we have a better team than we did last year.
Roller coaster for players too. Like for you, is it like holy, like what is happening? And then on the other side, what is happening in a good way?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like at the end of the day, like you become close to everyone on the team, right? You spend every day with each other for a certain amount of years, and I was really close with Johnny and Monty and Chucky, and it's sad to see them all go, and they're all great people, and but this is hockey, and you move on, and I'm still good friends with all of them, and but yeah, it's been a roller coaster of a summer, and but yeah, as I said, I really do believe we have a better team than we did last year.
That is Rasmus Anderson when he joined me a little earlier this week, Wednesday on Flames Talk. That's available on your Flames Talk podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. I just thought it was interesting to hear him talk about, like, it was a roller coaster for you watching, right? As a Flames fan, that was a roller coaster of a summer. And then for a Flames player, how much of a roller coaster that must have been. I just thought that was kind of interesting and kind of frames the excitement. And let's be honest, the excitement about the coming season is in a lot of ways based on how much unknown there is. Like we don't know how everything is going to fit, do we? We don't know who's going to play with who. We don't know how it's going to fit. Like, I think we all believe the Flames brought in some really good players, right? We all believe that, Kadri, Uyghur, Huberdeau, these guys are all really, really good players. So we believe they're still a good team. And I absolutely believe that. I think they might be a better team than they were last year based on everything. However, we don't know how it's going to fit. We don't know how it's all going to look. And that's what's really interesting, and that's what makes this whole thing so intriguing to me is how it all fits together and how it all comes together and how long it takes to come together. Like they may not be may not be in their full stride in November or December. Like it didn't take that long last year for Daryl to get this group into a pretty good groove. Well, this year it might be different. It might take a little time for some things to click and some things to gel, and that's okay. Because if they don't hit full stride until the second half of the season, but they're there and the comfort level and all that type of stuff is there come the postseason, like if they finish in third in the Pacific Division but make it to the Western Conference Final, I think we're going to be a whole lot happier about that than if they win the Pacific again and only win 5 or 6 playoff games. So I think that that's what's so interesting about this whole thing is that we don't know how it's all going to fit together, and we don't know how it's all going to, how long it's going to take until it all fits together. Kevin wonders, any news on new jerseys? I think there's definitely been some leaks out there. And they look interesting. Nothing official in terms of new jerseys, but I know Mike Gold, our jersey insider over at FlamesNation, says it's coming. So no official news, but those leaks look pretty interesting. J-Dub says, I know Cody Eakin played right wing in the past. Could be a decent option. Could be. I think he definitely can win faceoffs. That was probably the best thing that he was able to do for the Sabres last year. I don't know if I see Eakin as a guy that needs to be on this roster. If he is, fine. But I don't know if it's a situation where, if they don't sign him to a contract, they're missing an opportunity. And that's not to be flippant about the player Cody Eakin is. I just think that they've got, whether it be Kevin Rooney, who they signed in free agency, or Trevor Lewis, who they're bringing back. I just think they've got some Milan Lucic, so on and so forth. They've got some bottom 6 and 4th line options that I don't know if it's imperative. Now, Eakin comes in, has a great training camp, then it's a different conversation. I just don't think that as we go into training camp, it's like Eakin needs to get a contract. They need. That's where I'd be on that. Sean wonders if there's any word on when they get a captain. Eugene says you got to let that play out. And then Sean rebuts they need a captain. Doesn't have to be today, but by puck drop they need one. Sean, I respectfully disagree. I don't think they need a captain. I think that I think that we just listening to players speak and talking to a couple of players on and off the record. I think it's very clear, and this is not to say that, Sean, you're being silly. I don't think it's as big a deal inside that locker room or inside the organization as it is to people on the outside. Michael Backlund said straight up that, yeah, you know what, media, fans talk about a captain and who's wearing it way more than we do. They did just fine without one last year. And if there is an obvious choice at some point this year, before training camp, midway through the season, before the playoffs, then sure. I just don't think there needs to be any absolute urgency on when they name a captain. I really don't. I think that they can do it at any time, and if they don't do it, I think that's I don't think it's really that big a deal. When you take a look at the different players inside that room, from Kadri to Huberdeau and Uyghur, who have just come in, then you throw in Tanev and Lucic and Backlund and Lindholm and Mangiapane and on and on and on and on. They've got some really good leaders there, and they did a good job of leading by committee last year. And again, Sean, they might name a captain. They very well might, and for marketing reasons, at some point there might be a push to do so. I just don't think it's something they need to do. I do think at some point it would be good to have a captain and good to establish that. I do. I just don't think it needs to be any set time. That's all. I'm really curious as to how that story plays out, though. I really am. Brooks wonders, do you believe Cole can make the roster this season over Pelche? I assume you're talking about Cole Schwinn, who they acquired in the Kachuk trade, and Yeah, he's really interesting to me. A lot of people wonder, he's a right shot, and he's a guy that I think might be a little bit of a dark horse in training camp because he is a right shot. They are looking for right shot wingers. And while Schwinn is listed as a center and can absolutely play down the middle, for him to make the NHL roster as a right shot winger, that might be his best opportunity. And so, yes, that is one of the names, Brooks, that I'm absolutely interested in watching coming into training camp. I've never seen the guy play in person. I don't know what to expect. I'm just really interested because a lot of people speak very highly of him, and because we're talking about a guy who possesses something that the Flames don't have a lot of, and that is a right shot. A little bit more time on the live chat as we continue on this edition of Flames Nation Live. J-Dub again. I remember Dougie's first season in Calgary took him a while to get his game going. Absolutely, it took a little bit while there. This says from Matthew, how do you see the lineup? How do you see the lineups this season? Well, I think that is what makes, as I said a little bit earlier, I think that's what makes this season so intriguing. The start of this season especially so intriguing is the fact that we don't know exactly how everything's going to fit. Like if they had re-signed Johnny and re-signed Tkachuk, I think we got a pretty good idea. You come into the season and it's Lindholm, Tkachuk, and Gaudreau again, and probably Backlund with Coleman and Mangiapane. Like you've got a pretty good set. Well, now you've got three centers that you can roll with Backlund, Kadri, and Lindholm. You don't have Gaudreau and Tkachuk. You bring in Huberdeau. You bring in Kadri. You kind of have your net -1 a winger. So it's like, okay, well, how is it all going to fit together? Who's going to play with who? That's part of the intrigue. And I'm really fascinated to see how it all plays out. And to a lesser extent, they also, like, Eric Goodbranson was great last year, but he was a third-pair defenseman. Mackenzie Weegar is not a third-pair defenseman. So who's he going to play with? And how could that perhaps disrupt the top four that they had basically all year of Hannafin with Anderson and Shillington with Tanev. So that to me is maybe part of the reason. The curiosity is part of the reason why I think that there is so much anticipation for the coming season. As we start to wrap up, just one more. This to Eric's question, who asked, sorry if I missed, where can I watch the Young Stars game tonight? Pumped to see what Adam Klapka can do on CalgaryFlames.com and all of their platforms. So wherever you get your on the app, online, YouTube, all that type of stuff, Calgary Flames will be streaming on their platforms. Best place if you're just looking for an easy spot, just go to the Flames website at CalgaryFlames.com. That's the best way to get Friday's game, Saturday's game, and Monday afternoon's game against the Jets. So it goes Friday night against the Canucks, Saturday night against the Oilers, and then the Young Stars Classic for Calgary wraps up on Monday afternoon at noon Calgary time against the prospects of the Winnipeg Jets. So one more time, Flames Nation Live, as always, brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Go download the app, create an account, and use that promo code FNLiveDD. When you do that, 25% off your first order and free delivery. Flames Nation Live, as always, brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Great stuff. Thank you very much on the live chat. As always, we'll be back next week with a training camp preview for Flames on Flames Nation Live. The Flames do fitness testing on Wednesday, and then they drop the puck with their first on-ice sessions. Daryl Sutter and all the groups on the ice on Thursday. First preseason game a week from Sunday. First preseason games a week from Sunday when they do that split squad game with Vancouver on Sunday, September 25th. Be well. Have a great weekend. Be kind to one another. Stay safe. We'll talk to you next week on Flames Nation Live. My name is Pat. Flames Nation Live, as always, brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Young Stars.